So unfortunately, there's some pretty terrible news for today, and it relates actually to the head of Battlefield, Vince Zampella, who unfortunately passed away in a car crash in LA. This is honestly the last thing I expected to be talking about here at the end of 2025, just before the holidays. It's an absolutely tragic situation. Zampella wasn't just the head of Battlefield, but a lot of the memories that many people like myself have are thanks to Zampella and his work in Call of Duty, his work now in Battlefield, and rest in peace to Vince Zampella. He was an absolute legend in the gaming industry, and I kind of wanted to talk about today what his contributions were to the FPS space, things like that, just kind of remembering what he did for video games and his work. I'm not going to go into all the details of what happened at the car crash. You can go look that up on the news. It's pretty graphic, so I'm not really going to go into that. So obviously this is going to be a little bit different than my usual videos, but I kind of want to talk about real quick what Zampella did for the games industry. So Zampella actually worked on one of the first kind of big FPS games that really set the stage for Call of Duty and Battlefield and pretty much everything that would come afterwards. That of course is Medal of Honor Allied Assault. He was the lead designer and the game was a seriously huge deal. It set a lot of the stage for what would happen in the FPS world, and after the success of the Medal of Honor Allied Assault game, Zampella just continued to work on Medal of Honor. So Zampella would actually be the founder of Infinity Ward alongside Jason West, who he met while working at another games company. And after Infinity Ward's creation, basically EA decided to move the Medal of Honor development to in-house, and so Infinity Ward after that took a deal with Activision to create a new game, and this was actually codenamed the Medal of Honor Killer, if you guys remember that from that time. This would eventually be, of course, Call of Duty, and Activision acquired Infinity Ward just after Call of Duty released, and to this day Infinity Ward is still under Activision, which is now under Microsoft. So Zampella would continue to work with Activision because he had signed a contract with them, and from there he would work on multiple of the most successful and most popular Call of Duty titles, including Call of Duty 2, Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare kind of released at a time when video games were blowing up a lot, and so that really helped push Call of Duty even further. And Zampella also worked on one of my favorite games of all time, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. To this day, it's still one of my favorite campaigns in the FPS space and one of the best, in my opinion, FPS games to have ever released. However, unfortunately, after Modern Warfare 2 released, Zampella and West were actually fired by Activision, and they had sued for wrongful termination. And then of course, they would go on to found Respawn Entertainment the following month. And Respawn Entertainment of course gave us so many amazing games as well. In regards to after getting fired from Activision, Zampella and West actually got a pretty big settlement from them, and they decided to sign with Electronic Arts for Respawn Entertainment. So they went back to EA, but then West would leave Respawn in 2013, and of course under Respawn Entertainment they released some of the best games of all time, those being Titanfall 1 and Titanfall 2. And EA acquired those games in 2017. Respawn Entertainment is also responsible for some amazing games like Apex Legends, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, a personal favorite of mine, and Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I've yet to play that one, but Fallen Order was absolutely fantastic. Then of course, we all know that Zampella would go on to work with Battlefield, because in 2020, EA announced that Zampella was going to lead DICE's branch in Los Angeles. And in 2021, Zampella was put in charge of Battlefield because they basically wanted him to kind of come in and fix Battlefield after the flop of Battlefield 2042, seeing as he's worked on some wildly successful games in the past. And DICE LA was actually eventually renamed to Ripple Effect Studios in July 2021. Battlefield 6 came out, of course, under Zampella's direction, and we saw quite a lot of amazing things for Battlefield because of this game, because of the work that they put into it. Zampella really swooped in and kind of added a lot of things that fixed what wasn't working for the franchise, and of course this year was an absolute comeback for Battlefield, and it's quite terrible that we lost a literal legend in the video game industry. Whatever your opinions may have been about the direction Battlefield 6 took, this is an absolutely tragic event and a huge loss for the industry, for the video game world, and in general. A lot of us had a lot of memories tied to some of these games that Zampella worked on, like Call of Duty, Titanfall, so it's definitely sad to see someone with so much creativity, so much amazing direction and energy just kind of go like that. So everyone, take care of yourself this year. Be sure to be careful when you're driving. It's definitely a very sad day for the games industry. Definitely not something anyone expected to hear in 2025 before the holidays. So yeah, pretty sad news, but rest in peace to Vince Zampella. He will definitely be remembered for the amazing contributions and the mark he left on the games industry.